Welcome to the Veranda. Today, my guest is Britney Thornton. She's running for County Commission District 10. My reason for doing these videos are to let the constituents know and meet the candidates on a more personable level. This is Britney Thornton, and she's on the veranda today. Hi, Britney.
Hello.
What's up?
It's good to see you.
Welcome to the veranda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about Britney Thornton.
Britney Thornton, a 32-year native of Memphis, of Orange Mound, whose story significantly shifted when I moved back home at 24. And I came back home to Orange Mound that I had always known it to be, but I was an adult. And so being a 24-year-old, knowing that it was my responsibility to just jump in somewhere, I just have been on this journey of filling out what it means to give back to, specifically this community that I feel gave me everything, Orange Mound. So there's been a lot of happenings along the way, a lot of learnings, a lot of life. And here I am in politics pursuing this goal to become the next county commissioner for District 10.
Tell me about your journey in life to this point. Where have you been? What have you seen? And what have you done?
We don't have enough time, but let's see.
The short version.
The short version. I have always lived in the Gap. So I grew up on Sella Circle, and then in 5th grade, my mom decided to put me in private school. So I ended up graduating from Harding Academy and went off to Baylor University, did a leap year. People don't know that I taught English in Thailand for a year. So I'm conversational in Thai, which I think is just kind of cool. It never comes up. So, Pupasa Thai Dai Nit Noi Ka. So people don't know this. I know you didn't probably even know this.
Say that again.
It's Sawatdi Ka, Sabai Mai Ka. And so.
What did you just say? Did
I
you
said,
cuss me out?
no. I said, hello, how are you?
Okay.
There you go.
Something we didn't know.
And this is like in me all the time. Came back home, went to graduate school at the University of Pennsylvania, which is an Ivy League school, and then was placed with Teach for America in Memphis. So my Memphis journey has been in motion since 2014 and started a nonprofit in 2016. Ran for my first office in 2019 for city council, and here I am in 2022.
Okay. Why county commission?
That's a good question. For me, it's about urgency. So, the city council is to the city what county commission is to the county. And so when it comes down to it, my learnings have taught me that the county commission is a more powerful body. I, as an educator, am very excited to have some level of influence over our school system. And then transit, that's where I fell in love with county commission. When I was a couple years back in the classroom, I fell into this organizing position with Micah and found myself at the forefront of transit advocacy work, trying to push for us to get a fully funded transit system. And in the process of doing that, I had the opportunity to study the county commissioners and meet with them individually. I mean, we had it down to a science. Like, we could anticipate what this person's objection was going to be, like their temperament. It was just a really cool study. And so it was the first time that I saw what I was compelled to see as future colleagues. I could see myself being tasked with champion causes with this body of people. And so that was where the passion came. Our city, our county is changing so much that I'm just really, really concerned about us not having leaders in place that are ready to stand before that change. And not just like, you have elected officials that just hold seats. We can't afford to have, that happen. So we need active politicians, people who are looking to not only understand the issues, but also go after, the organizing and all the other things that are going to be entailed in making change. So I'm a very active player, and I'm excited to serve.
One of the key things you just said or mentioned was that we have a lot of active politicians that are sitting in seats now that are not doing what the constituents need done. They're promoting a lot of bright, new, shiny stuff, but they're not addressing the particular ailments of various communities. And I find that disheartening because you see these funds and these grants being promoted to upper level situations whereby the constituents that put you in this office are suffering.
Yeah.
I think some of the politicians we have now are running more on ego and a job than helping, which is what they were elected to do.
Yeah.
In your encounters up to this point, you've shown compassion, you've shown a heart. And I want to bring up one of the things that I think is phenomenal and is worth mentioning, is the fact that you found a place for the homeless. And that is something that should have been done, should have been addressed, could have been addressed in various ways. I mean, there are a plethora of agencies and places that could provide such a space. But you took it upon yourself to do this in Orange Mound. And I must say Orange Mound is very appreciative of this. Some look at it as, okay, well, you got trash. Okay, so what? You're addressing the issue that the people that are naysayers are not. They turn their head to this. So I'm appreciative of the fact that you took this upon yourself to do, along with the assistance of some other people and other agencies that it took a minute to get. It was a struggle. But you've developed something that's morphed into something great. And I'm proud of you for that.
I appreciate it.
Do you think that moving forward as a county commissioner, this is something you want to continue?
Yeah. That was a whole reflective moment. One, because you remember the call that I made before even like starting what I thought was going to be just a pop-up warming center. I called you, I called my neighbor, and then I called another resident that I knew I wanted to stay in the space with me. So I just say thank you right back at you, because had you said it is not going to happen, then it would not have happened. So thank you for quickly just advising me on how to pull everything together. When you said that I started something for the homeless, that also gave me pause, because all I did was recognize where they like decided to like exist. It's hard in Orange Mound and in other neighborhoods to overlook the homeless. They are sitting on, the sides of buildings. They are walking down the street. They are, on people's porches. And it's very visible in the need. And so it's like, how can we not do something, especially when you're equipped to do something? So I have to acknowledge the fact that we had physical space. We had purchased our building from Evenski's in February of 2020. So we didn't start the shelter until February 2021. And so, that was internally what I was pushing the board. It's like, we have this asset, we need to utilize it. And it just so happened to line up that we had the facilities to meet the need and just jump right in. I definitely think that there's lots of opportunities for County Commission to insert itself in this issue. One, we have to, because housing as a core issue is not just impacting the homeless, it's impacting people who are renters, it's impacting people who are landlords, it's impacting people who are middle class, it's impacting people who, it's just our local landscape is being shook. And we have seen that Memphis is just a part of this like trend that's happening across other major cities. So Memphis is a hot market right now. There are lots of dynamics that need to be regulated. There's lots of studying and figuring out, like where precedents can help us out to be able to help our people. So County Commission and other elected officials, it's going to be important that we work together to be able to figure out what this issue is that we are withstanding and how are we going to do it thoughtfully, because we've definitely seen in other cities what the worst case looks like, where I just saw an article that was deeming, I believe, Atlanta, their market to be unaffordable. And it's like Memphis is on the trajectory of that. So, if we already have someone who's further along the road, then we need to build inroads to learn from that community so that we can know, if you could do it differently, what would you have done legislatively, in organizing, in terms of supporting nonprofits, or just in education and campaign. At what level would you have pulled the trigger sooner and have been made aware of other opportunities to be able to help? So I feel like we're we're in a good place because we're not the trailblazer in this trend, and we get the benefit of sitting back and learning from other people. But if we don't have elected officials who are interested in learning, then we already know how this is going to go, and it doesn't look good for the everyday citizen.
When you win.
I like it.
You win.
When? Yeah.
You will be one of the youngest people on the county commission.
Yeah, I was thinking, it just hit me the other day. I was like,
You will be one of the youngest people on the county commission in the history of the county commission of Memphis, Tennessee.
that's cool.
I'm excited to see some new blood. I'm excited to see the political atmosphere in Memphis shift. I think it's time that we do something different with what we have. I think it's time that we use what we have. A lot of people are not aware of the fact that the political situation in Memphis has become so disjointed, and it's become more of a job situation for a lot of politicians. It's a 9 to 5. I go to work, push the paperwork, get a check. But the people that put me here are not in this equation. And I know you personally. I'm proud and satisfied with everything you've done to this point. A lot of people are not aware of all the things you've done. You created Juice Orange Mound. You went door to door and got Change for Change. And all of these funds have been allocated toward uplifting the homeless and various projects that you worked on in Orange Mound, such as the entrepreneurship program for single mothers, such as helping kids, such as supporting the basketball team at Orange Mound Community Center. I mean, you've put in the work. You've put in the work that's visible. I see what you do. I know what you do. There's a reaction to what you've done. So my concern comes in when you have people that jump into these races and you don't know what they've done. They might have the name. They might have a few friends in politics. But what have they done? What have you done to promote yourself or to promote the community and to help others? So my throw out to them is, do something. Make something happen other than you running for a race. Do something that's visible. This young lady has. My next question. What fuels your passion?
That's a good question. I keep it personal. For me, I organize around self-interest. And so every time I'm shaping up any type of like campaign or project, there's something that is personal for me that I want to see. I grew up in, like a working class like family with a single parent mother, and now as an adult, it's just very, I don't know, it's very humbling to see my mom building wealth alongside me. Like oftentimes I'm teaching my mom things that I'm learning that she didn't have like taught to her. And so for me, it's just, knowing the history of my home community and just how like it once was this bastion of hope for Black people, like this safety net for Black people to be able to like live and exist in, and not to have access to that. I definitely think that in me, there's a desire to see that for myself. Like we've had many conversations. I've talked to many elders who've talked about their experiences with, Orange Mound history, but I haven't seen the standard of excellence that everybody speaks to. And so for me, what fuels me is just this drive to want to experience it for myself while I'm still young and hip and cool to experience it. I want it, and so it's like there's a sense of urgency around all the work that I do because I want to see a prosperous Orange Mound. When I came home and realized that our housing stock was depleted and there weren't a lot of options, I told myself, okay, well, you can move to downtown, midtown, East Memphis, or you can stay here and make this what you desire it to be. So my standards have not ever been diminished, but what it is that I seek is still something that I'm seeking. And so I'm just hopeful that, all the work that we have put into trying to make prosperity for this community, that we'll see it tip. And not only that, that we will have something that we can pitch to other neighborhoods so they can do the same thing. Like other neighborhoods shouldn't have to wait. I'm 7 years into this. They shouldn't have to wait 10 years to be able to bring about the changes that we hope to see in Orange Mound. And so once we figure out, it took this, had we done this sooner, it would have done this, then imagine what it can do for Castalia, what it can do for Alcee Ball, what it can do for Imogene Heights, what it can do for Cherokee, what it can do for so many of our historically black neighborhoods that are our neighbors that don't get the limelight of Orange Mound. So that's my passion at this point in my life, is that I can see the scales are starting to shift for Orange Mound. The work that we put into it is coming to, some of its first, breakthrough moments. And I'm like, okay, what about other people? Because I know that they exist and they've always existed. My priority has just been in Orange Mound first, because I know the influence that Orange Mound can have for other neighborhoods.
I see that you have reached out to other neighborhoods. You and I are both on several boards together, and I think, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I think our passion on several of these boards or forces, task force, creates the passion and questions that are asked by other people on the board. But I think we push the envelope a little bit. And I think that's what's needed, because you're having people that are coming from outside forces that are trying to tell us what we need to do. We know what we need to do. We know what needs to be done. We're here. You're there. So you sit back and look and say, okay, we're not going that way. So I like that. When I first met you, I said something. I said, I didn't know you. I said, okay, I got to watch her. Because I saw you being able to make moves. What kind of moves, I didn't know. I appreciate the fact that you kind of taken me under your wing, or however you want to put it, and we work together well. And I think that your passion and your strategic mind is going to take you a long way in this journey. So again, I'm going to say vote for Britney Thornton, County Commission District 10. She's doing the work. She's ready. Next question. Tell me 2 stories. One about the shelter and one about you in general that has touched your heart. Speak up a little bit.
2 stories. I'm a storyteller, so many come to mind. I'm going to do a story that's recent. So right now there's a 74-year-old man that was living at the shelter who's missing. And it's really impacting me, because this will make the second person at the shelter who has gone to the hospital and just disappeared. And so I'm learning right now where the breakdowns in our healthcare system are, and where the breakdowns in just like family support are, and just where the breakdowns in just like compassion are. And so it really, really is impacting me, because there's just so many thoughts that come to mind, but it's important that he be identified, and that he be given proper burial, and that his whole just life and contribution to my understandings of what the impact of homelessness is be edified. So homelessness is something that we really need to study and we need to learn from, because the breakdown of every system is going to be exemplified in the lifestyle of a homeless person. Where our healthcare system is falling apart, homeless people can teach us. Where our prison system has crippled people, homeless people can teach us. Where our housing market is inaccessible, homeless people can teach us. But we don't seem to want to be at the feet of our homeless to learn. And so I'm just excited to shift how we approach homeless people, particularly around warming centers. I think that there's innovation that can come where people should be going in droves to homeless centers because of the overwhelming resources that we stack. Imagine if I go into a warming center and come out completely different. My life forever changed because of the social workers that are there, because of, the resource providers that are there, because of, just the access that is given, all because the weather is pushing me to you and you don't have to come find me. So I'm just excited to lean into whatever this space is in my leadership that's connected to homelessness. It's new for me. My passions and convictions have been around reentry in prison. My degrees are in prison social work. And so I never thought that I would find myself here, but it's a very rich space.
So on that note, let me ask you this. And I'm addressing the public when I say this. A lot of us ride down the street in our fancy or not so fancy cars. And we see people on the street that are homeless. You also got those gangsters out there that's not homeless, that's out there for $1. Mm-hmm. But you can really look and tell who's homeless. And we will pass by them. That's not the godly thing to do. Some of us will hand them $1 or $2. Some of us will go and buy them a sandwich and bring it back to them. But none of us say, what's your story? Mm-hmm. Why are you here? I mean, that's a person. That could be you. Mm-hmm. And to address that issue on the level that you have causes for thankfulness to you. And I'm not just harping on the homeless because that's close to your heart, but I see the things you've done, and I'm reiterating this, and that lets me know that you're doing the work. Mm-hmm. And that's why you should be our next county commission for District 10. Another question. Tell me another story about politics.
Yeah. So you asked for it to be personal, and so I have to pay, homage to predecessors. So I started off in public school at Hanley Elementary, and fun fact, I went to kindergarten in Dunbar, and then my mom transitioned. She actually used someone's address to get me into Hanley, someone that we reconnected with, and I just think that's a fascinating part of the story, because by any means necessary was she wanting to get me access to the highest quality of education as she learned and deemed it, accessible. So I can remember vividly Mayor Harrington and Hereford Jr. walking the halls, and just as a young, bright, literally pigtail, bright-eyed, Britney, being inspired by just their presence. For us, it's young kids. This is under Miss Ruby J. Payne. So that standard of excellence was instilled in us from a very young age. We were surrounded by excellence. It was exemplified. We had models. And so when I look to zoom out, people, I think, often are kind of, impressed with things that I've done or who I am. But I look to Victoria Young and Chelsea, and Joshua Bankston, and just other people that I know that are just out here doing it, and it's a level that, whatever industry that they're in, they're bringing a standard of excellence that I know was instilled in us. So I can't say enough, and I think about, the Javantes and the Tamarcuses, Orange Mound, millennials, young adults are noticeably different than our peers. The caliber of just our commitment to excellence is just so elevated, and so I appreciate that, and I appreciate what elders continue to do, and I think that's really our benefit, is that not these aren't antiquated stories of us one time meeting an elder when we were young. We have consistent access to y'all. And y'all are constantly there, we're sitting here on your couches on the veranda, bugging you, and y'all continue to allow us to have access to context context, to stories, to connections, and it's much to our benefit. And so I love that piece about how we just work together. Like I think that's the coolest piece of being from Orange Mound and being connected directly to this community. So snaps to Orange Mound. I wish Orange Mound could just be in the mix, sometimes, so you could just be like, you're cool, Thank you.
Cool. So, being in this race politically, what have you learned?
I've learned to pause before.
Pause.
I've learned to pause. I can feel myself maturing, and I know that with each race, I'm getting stronger. Running for office is not easy, but it's for this second go round, something that I definitely had less intimidation about, because I knew that even if I fail, I was going to fail forward. Like you learn so much about yourself, and yeah, like it just centers you.
What motivates you?
I mean, definitely the win. Like, it's nothing like losing and wanting to come back just to say, I am worth it. Like, I am, she is ready, like all these type of things. But at this point, it's really just because, I do feel just ready, like I have put in time, I have sacrificed, and I'm just excited to see what type of opportunities like I can produce. And then, like we pray, like, Lord, enlarge my territory. Like, I think that it's a natural like lift, like I've been diligent in my service to Orange Mound, and I am just growing, and it's time for me to serve others and to be challenged in more unique ways. After a certain while, we work ourselves into comfort, and I feel comfortable in Orange Mound now. Like things are predictable. How to pick up the phone and make things happen, like it can happen now. And so I want to do that in other spaces, because that's the only way that I'm going to learn, is being brought back down, and having some of that humility have to be reinserted into the process. So running for office is always like very humbling, and it just teaches you so much about yourself, and that's what makes it almost like an adrenaline rush to want to like keep coming back.
You have reached out, and I say we because I'm working with Britney, have reached out to other communities, South Memphis, Castalia, Cooperyoung, Cherokee, and we've gotten a lot of support. And people, the key to politics is reaching out and touching someone and making them respond, or asking for response. Because when you get response from people, that means they're concerned. They want to hear what you have to say. You have a lot of politicians that go around and pass out their cards and say, I'm running for office. That's the end of the conversation. That's the extent. But one of my reasons for doing this was to let them know who you are and what you are about. Television doesn't do this. Radio talk shows don't do this. And this is not to be controversial, but this is to be knowledgeable for the constituents. If you believe in yourself, there's no limit to what you can do. And you have true belief in yourself. You have the passion, and you have a force behind you that's pushing you forward. I can see County Commissioner Britney Thornton sitting in Shelby County. I can see that. And I hope the public sees that as well. This is the best candidate. There are two other candidates. I know who they are, but I honestly don't know who they are. And that's something that the constituents need to look at. Do your research. Know who's on the ballot, or know who's pushing their agenda. She's telling you her agenda. She's letting you know. She's putting her heart out to you. She's telling you who she is, where she's been, what she's done, and what she plans on doing. That's it. That's everything. So this is my choice for County Commission District 10. Now,
Thank you.
When Britney Thornton wins, and note I said when, what are the first things that are of concern to you once you sit in that seat?
It's so much of a concern that I'm going to start acting on it after the primary. So I want to use that period. This is a Democratic seat. So you have that period between the primary and the general that can just kind of be, wasting time, or we can get some things done. Our communities are disorganized. So I want to use that period strategically to start to build off of this neighborhood fabric that, there's some neighborhoods, who's running the Glenview Neighborhood Association and Orange Mound, leaders. But I want to look at this map. I'm really big into like data and just looking at maps and just figuring it out.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
I got to show you the ones that I could. And so looking in each one of these precincts and figuring out how many neighborhoods there are. And you'll see more canvassing leading up to the general than to the primary, and people will be like, why is she doing that? She's already got the seat. But it's because I really want to hit the ground running. As soon as the seat is confirmed, let's go. It's time for us to start organizing. Like, our communities need to be organized. By the end of my 4-year period, every constituent in District 10 will know what neighborhood they're connected to. And we will see the power of people feeling connected and start to see the benefit of streamlined, neighborhood organizing. It is so much more efficient and it's so possible. So I look forward to leaning into every iota of influence to be able to do this, because, the county commissioners only get, $150,000 annually. It's not enough to serve, our entire constituency. So we're going to have to be strategic, and using that same strategy of, spare change, creating a pool that you can leverage to get matches. We can do that with the corporate communities across District 10. I think that people are going to really be impressed with the organizing in District 10, and it's the first level of priority, because once we're organized, then what transit system can we not fight for? What housing policies can we not advocate for? Like, there's nothing that you can do, upon being organized. So get excited.
So, because this is my show on my veranda and my mouth, I can say what I want and do what I want. I'm asking for volunteers for her campaign. I'm asking for donations to her campaign. I'm asking for support for her campaign. I support Britney. I've worked with Britney before, and I'm working with her again. Let's make this happen, y'all. Britney Thornton, County Commission, District 10.